I'm Danny, and today I will be doing a spoiler-free review of Give the Dark My Love by Beth Revis. This book is the first book in a duology that will be released later on this year, and before I get into what I thought of the book, I did give this a solid 3-star rating. At certain points, there could have been a 4-star, but by the end, it was a flat 3-star. This book is about our main character, Nedra, who gets a 1-year scholarship to go to this very prestigious school to learn medical alchemy so that she could help stop this plague that has been sweeping through the north and is starting to come to the south, where it turns your skin black, and depending on which part of your body it shows up on depends on how quickly or how slowly you will die. For the summary of this book, we do know that Nedra will eventually find out something while she is studying alchemy at her school that will lead her down a path of darkness and necromancy. Now, to get into my thoughts about what I thought of this book. One of the only problems I had with this story is that the world was hard to imagine. While they did describe some of the things that were seen in the South where Nedra is going to school, such as how luxurious and opulent and beautiful the city was, but when it came to the North and other places in this world, there was pretty much no description at all. Even while Nedra's walking through her village, it talks about how they have a butcher and a bakery shop and certain houses, but there's really no other description. There's not saying whether the houses are near the shops or what the village even looks like, or even what outside of the village look like while Nedra is walking from one village to another. There's really just no descriptions at all, so I think that could have been fleshed out a little bit more. If you are into medical dramas such as House or Grey's Anatomy or The Good Doctor, I think you would very much enjoy this book, because that's what a good chunk of this book is. It is basically a medical drama. As I said, Nedra is from the North, so she's from a very impoverished part of this world. The people in the South are very wealthy, and then the people from the North and other parts of the world are not so well off. So Nedra is from a very impoverished part of this world, and because of that, and not only her getting a scholarship, people already look down upon her for this, because a scholarship is basically like a handout for charity. It's not something you earn or win in this world. It's something that's just kind of handed to you because someone felt bad. My main problem with this book, though, was that it took forever to get to the necromancy. From the summary of the book, we already know that Nedra is obviously going to enter into necromancy. So I expected, at least by the halfway point in this book, for her to at least start practicing and working with this dark death magic, or death science, I guess you could say. I expected her to start working with this at least by halfway point in the book, and then of course secretly keep on with it throughout the book. But it took almost until the very end of this book to get into the necromancy. You see it very briefly about halfway point through the book, but then it's just like never touched again until almost the end. Most of the characters in this were pretty one-dimensional. They were pretty much exactly like you would expect them to be. They were like pretty one-dimensional, like a snooty rich kid was exactly that. He was a snooty rich kid, that's it. He had no other aspects to his personality. So Nedra pretty much carries this book on her own, and in some ways Nedra is almost kind of one-dimensional herself, though she does have a lot more of a personality and character than a lot of the other characters. The only 2 people who I can honestly say are pretty well rounded out, not completely rounded out, were Nedra and her professor. Even her love interest, Gray, is pretty one-dimensional. So with that said, I guess you can guess it's pretty obvious that I wasn't exactly rooting for this romance. I would have much preferred it if they had stayed friends. I think the story would have been better without the whole romantic aspect, because one second they were friends, laughing, kind of getting along in school, and then the next second they're at a dance and there's romantic and sexual tension, and I'm just like, where did this come from? The alchemy in this world is much more science than magic. Like, I know in some stories alchemy is a mix of science and magic, but in this one it's just pretty much straight up science. There is a science to it, even though it's not quite explained how it's science. If they're like transferring pain from a patient into a rat, how exactly are you transferring this? What exactly about this is science? It's magic. It looks like magic. It feels like magic. If it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, but apparently not. If it looks like magic and feels like magic, it's science. So that never quite made sense to me. The necromancy science in this book is just as dark as you would suspect. Like in certain other necromancy stories I've read, it's kind of like just bringing things back to life, but those stories are usually just like it's magic. It's not science at all, it's magic. So it's pretty much explain how this happens. But this one it is still dark, so it's definitely not a light necromancy story. Like, I won't say who or what or why, but there is information given throughout this book that necromancers do have to pay a high price for their science, although I think of it more as magic. So they have to, not only, there's a tool that they use in their necromancy that has to be the body part of a loved one, and they have to carve these runes into that loved one's body in order to get their necromancy. So that was definitely dark. It was a little darker than I was expecting, especially since pretty much everything else through this other than the plague had been pretty light. So that was pretty dark, and I really enjoyed that. I would say going into this that you should probably skip the prologue, because I think it gave me hopes that the necromancy would happen at least halfway through the book, especially since it starts off with this certain scene being 6 months later than what you're about to read. So I thought that the necromancy would happen pretty quickly. But like I said, it pretty much didn't happen until almost the very end. So I would say perhaps skip the prologue if you already have high hopes for necromancy happening early in this story. And the last thing I have about this is that there was a pretty major personality shift in Nedra. In the beginning and throughout the book, pretty much all you know about Nedra is that she wants to study alchemy to help people. She wants to help stop this plague, keep people from dying, keep her family safe. She just wants to help. She even volunteers at the quarantine hospital to help patients because she just wants to help. But then by the end, she gets dark, like out of nowhere. It's no like foreshadowing or leading up to this, or even thoughts that she has that kind of warn you that yeah, she's gonna go dark. It just kind of like, one second she just wants to help, and the next second she wants to bring people back from the dead. So it's pretty swift and almost comes out of nowhere. Even though you know it's gonna happen, it just kind of like bam. She's just like, oh, I want to help, and bam, I'm dark. So that is something else. To wrap this all up, I did enjoy the book, although I think I had too high hopes going into this. The necromancy didn't happen to almost the end, but I did enjoy it. And as I said, if you do like medical dramas such as House and Grey's Anatomy, I do think you would like a good chunk of this book, because that's pretty much what it was. And I'm not sure yet whether or not I will continue with book 2. I haven't decided yet. I think I will at this point, but I will definitely won't be like as soon as it comes out. I'll probably like wait for it to come to my local library or something. And that is my hopefully spoiler-free review of Give the Darkness My Love by Beth Revis, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!